Oh, always,
I,
yes.
Deb and I have had the opportunity to talk about education a few times, and she knows how strongly I feel about education, and so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you do every single day, walking into that classroom and being the teacher. So thank you. So it's great to be here. I am Molly Kelly, and I am running for governor of New Hampshire. I have to point out my colleague, former colleague, because I'm not in the Senate either. When we were in the Senate together, when I started in the Senate in 2006, Peter was there, and we were on some committees together. And we worked hard. So thank you so much. And Peter was a great supporter from the very beginning in this campaign, and I have to thank Sharon because we spent a lot of time at your home today, didn't we? We worked hard all day, and she was wonderful. So thank you, Sharon. And I see Martha's here in the Senate as well. And you introduced everybody else who's running, and thank you for your public service, and good luck to all of you, and let's work together, because that's what's important. We do need to bring the Democrats together if we want to win, and we will win. So what I thought I would do is, I always say briefly, and I try to cut it down to briefly. I'll do my very best to introduce myself to you, to tell you why I'm running, talk about some of the issues that I think are really important, and hopefully we'll have a few minutes for some questions, okay? So, I have to say, and I think that most of you would share with me, that after the last election in 2016, how did you feel? I felt horrible. I was devastated. I woke up in the morning and said, it's not possible. And I still wake up in the morning and say, it's not possible. And we try to get ourselves going and say that, you know, we can continue to move forward because we worked so hard in that election. But what really pushed me to run for governor was that when I started to see that many of the policies in Washington, D.C. under the Trump administration were finding their way here to New Hampshire under our current governor, Chris Sununu. And I said to myself, I cannot sit by and watch this happen. I cannot be a bystander. And that's when I said, I'm running for governor. And so, thinking about why am I running? What do I want? And what I'm going to tell you tonight is what I want for New Hampshire is I want a New Hampshire that provides everyone to have an opportunity for a chance to survive, to succeed. Everyone to have an opportunity to succeed, not just a few. And I'll just tell you a quick story about why I believe that that's so important, that we all have that opportunity. I grew up in a large family. I'm number 2 of 11 children. I'm actually the oldest girl. So I think that's a good place to be, a large family. And I enjoyed that large family. It was a lot of fun. But every night when we sat down at the table, and it was something that we all had to do, there were 13 of us. And we learned, and I did very quickly, that if one of us were to succeed, we all had to succeed. And that value and that belief has stayed with me throughout my life. And moving forward, whether it's my own life or in politics, it was always there. So I believe that here in New Hampshire, if one of us is to thrive, we all must thrive. And that's what we really need to work for. I also want a New Hampshire that provides the opportunity of education, job training, skill training, apprenticeships, so that all of us have an opportunity to move forward in our lives and to provide for our families. To have not just a job, but a good job. A job that provides hope and a future, and to move forward where our own children, our own families, and we can do that. Now, education is very personal to me. And I'm going to tell you just a quick story why. As a student at Keene State College, I was a single mom. I had 3 little children. They were just 3, 6, and 7. And I knew that if I didn't go back to college and complete my degree, I wouldn't be able to have the opportunities that I wanted to provide for my family and for myself. We worked hard. I convinced the college that I should manage the apartment complex where I lived with my children and other people like me and other families lived there. And they said, you're right, and it's your job. You can do it. So we did. We managed, I did with my children. I cleaned the laundry rooms. I'm not new to a lot of you. We all work hard. I had a waitress job one night a week, and we even had a rural paper route in Peterborough, New Hampshire. And we worked hard, but we made it. And I believed the whole time when it was hard, and I said, how are we doing this? I said, if I don't do this, how are we going to move forward? Where will I gain the skills to be able to do that? The people in New Hampshire work hard. Wherever you go, you see people working very hard. We all want to work hard, but we have to believe we can get somewhere when we do work hard. And we need the skills, and we need the training, and we need the education. I went on and I completed a law degree at Franklin Pierce Law Center, and I did continue to work my way through law school with my children as well. And there were programs at the time, government programs that were supportive to women like myself to be able to move forward and to receive the education that I needed. Those programs are gone today. They're not available. So as governor, I want to be able to provide those opportunities for everyone, not just a few, so that we can move forward. Today I am married. I have a wonderful husband. I wish he could be here tonight. He had to do other things. He does campaign with me a lot. He's the best campaigner. He was there for me 10 years in the Senate as well. And we have now 4 children, and we're blessed with 7 grandchildren. So our life is very full. And we have been able to move forward, and that's what I want to be able to do for everyone in New Hampshire. Now, one of the things that happened to me later when I was thinking, and never did I imagine when I was cleaning laundry rooms and waitressing, that I would have the honor and the privilege to serve in the state Senate, which I did for 10 years. And I worked hard in the Senate. And many of the issues that I see us actually facing us today, and are facing all of you who have been in the Senate and in the House in this last couple years, are the same issues that were there when we were in the Senate. But one of the differences is that we had a Democrat in the governor's seat, and that person vetoed many of the bills that are now sitting on the governor's desk or that he has supported in the past. So, for example, in education, we have the voucher bill. All of you, I think, worked very hard to stop that. Am I right? How many of you worked hard on that voucher education bill? You all did. You all did. And thank you for that. And we know what that bill is. It is a bill that takes money from public schools to private schools and to religious schools. That is wrong. That is wrong for New Hampshire. We have a governor who says if he's reelected, that will become his most important piece of legislation to get passed. It's not gone. It'll come back if he's there. He met with Betsy DeVos, who's the Education Secretary for the United States, has the same agenda, and she came here and she did a fundraiser for Chris Sununu, in particular because she believes, and he does in the same way, we're going to take money from public schools. If we do that, a couple things will happen. One of the things that will happen is your property taxes will go up because money is leaving public education. The second thing, for me, that is even more important, and I think Deb would agree with me, that public education is the core of democracy. If we erode public education, we erode democracy. It is wrong. What I want to do as governor, I want to strengthen public education, and we can do that. We have a governor today that instead of strengthening public education, wanting to take money from education, has also provided tax breaks for the 3% of the wealthiest corporations in our state. $100 million going out, not coming back in. I know what I would do with that $100 million. I would invest that in education and job training. When I work and meet with businesses, which I do every day, and I did for 10 years in the Senate, what they tell me is what they want is a prepared workforce, an educated workforce. They want a skilled workforce because that's what would make them successful. Not one business ever said to me, I want a tax break. That's not what they're looking for. So when I'm governor, I'm going to invest in education and workforce and strengthen public education. We also know that one of the bills that I think is so dangerous, and we see it nationally, you know it's a part of the Trump administration, it has made its way here, is the voter suppression bills.
Yeah.
And I think you talked about that with Garrett and SB 3, which the governor did obviously support. Now we have another bill that he's sitting on, doing very much the same thing, targeting college students and telling them, we don't really care about your voice. We'd be happy if you remained silent. That's unacceptable and it's wrong. And as governor, if that bill ever even came close to my desk, it would be vetoed because it is wrong. Also, I do think that one of the issues that you know is back again, and you have, I think, strong feelings as well about it, and as for me, is gun safety. I really commend those young students who stood up. And by the way, they were from public schools. And were they not the most articulate and smart people? They stood up. And they're disappointed in us. They're disappointed in legislators. And they know what they're dealing with because they were there. I want to stand with those students, and I will stand with those students. I am not waiting till we have an incident here in New Hampshire. We can make some changes. We can finally pass universal background checks, and we can work with the states around us to make sure that we have transparency. We must keep guns out of the hands of children. And we must keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. And we must keep military-style weapons off the streets of New Hampshire. And yes, you do need a permit to carry a concealed weapon. So I think there are just, I talk a lot. So there are some other issues I know that are pressing for me that are important. One is the opiate epidemic. We can address this if we come together in a comprehensive way and really wrap our arms around this. We also have to treat this epidemic as a public health epidemic. It is a disease. We cannot arrest our way out of this epidemic. So about a week and a half ago, Chris Sununu said, we have so much money we don't know what to do with. I know what I do with that money. And we would address the opiate epidemic together, and we would treat it as we did any other medical epidemic. We have to, we must, it's affecting everybody, every family. We know what's happening to mothers, to children. We know what's happening, people are suffering, they are dying, and it's affecting our economy as well. So we must do that. There's another bill that I think is really important that I would push through, and I would not sit on it, and I will support it as I campaign, and I will support it as governor, and that is the Paid Family Medical Leave Act.
Good.
It is a bill that needs to be law that speaks to our dignity and respect. If someone in your family is ill, sick, needs you, or there's a loss, you have a right to be with them. I've always thought it was important, and I think it speaks to our values. It came home to me recently, about a month ago. I was actually out campaigning. I was giving remarks at an event with my husband, and he said, we need to go. I said, why? And he said, it's one of the children. No parent wants that to come before them. And we went out, and he told me that our daughter had had a simple procedure that didn't go well. And her life was in danger. And we got on a plane in that moment, and we went with her. She's fine, and she's going to be fine. But what really got to me when I was there is to watch her husband, who was so loving to her, and their 3 small children, together, and how healing that was for my daughter. And all I could think is that if her husband couldn't be there, that would be terrible. If he thought that being with his wife and caring for her meant that he might lose his job, that he might not be able to pay his mortgage, and we all know people who would have to make those decisions and maybe not pay your rent. Can I put food on the table this week or not? It's unacceptable. What has happened to us that we don't stand up strong and say, these are our values. This is what's important to us. It is our families and the people we care about, and we must do that together. So I will fight very hard to get that bill passed, and it's important that we do, that we speak about who we are here in New Hampshire. So I'm proud of what I did in the Senate, and I'm proud that I've been progressive and bold on my 10 years in the Senate. I'm also very proud that I've had some incredible endorsements in the last month. People I worked with, Senator Shaheen, Senator Maggie Hassan, who we served in the Senate with, and I served under when she was governor, Congresswoman Annie Custer. These are people I have known for a long, long time. These are people I work with. If it wasn't for Senator Shaheen, I don't even think I could be standing here, because she opened the doors to so many of us. And these are people that when you work with someone, and when you work with them, especially in the House and the Senate, and you work closely about issues that are important, that you work hard on, and you don't always agree with everything, but you respect each other and you move forward, and they endorse you, that is an honor, because they know who you are, and I know who they are. They tell me they endorse me because they believe I will be an effective governor, and I believe that too. They endorse me because they believe that I know how to solve problems and can work across party lines and work with collaboration and bringing people together, and that it's important to me. And I believe I can do that too. So I am proud of those endorsements, and I honor their lives, their leadership, and what they've done. And I have to say, we've had some good women leaders in this. So I am really proud of my progressive and bold Senate record. Just a couple things. I have always stood with public education. Always stood with public education and for public education, and you heard why. I have championed women's rights and women's reproductive rights from my entire life. And I will stand with Planned Parenthood every single day. Our governor invited our Vice President Mike Pence to come and to do a fundraiser for him. We know where he stands about Planned Parenthood and where he stands for women. Not acceptable. We cannot do that. We need to move forward. I am proud that I was one of the first senators to be able to vote and to pass, and be the first in the nation to pass the Marriage Equality Act here in New Hampshire. I put a bill in to propel solar energy in the state and got it passed across party lines to move forward with renewable energy in the state. Always worked and will continue to work for working families. That's what's important. We need to grow this economy. We need to invite our young people here, make sure they know they can stay, tell them their voice is important, their ideas are important, their youth is important. We need not just an economy that works for a few, but we need an innovative, a creative, and a sustainable economy, and we can do that together. I know we can. I'm running for governor, and I'm working hard every day because I am going to be in that seat. And I'm bringing with me the majority of the Executive Council, Democrats in the Executive Council. We are bringing the majority of the Senate, and we are bringing a majority of the House, because we can do that together. And I just want you all to think for a moment, just imagine what we can do. We've been through a time where we thought, what can we do? Think about what we can do. And we are moving forward. I'm moving New Hampshire forward. This is who I am. This is what I believe, and we can do it together, all of us, and we will be able to do great things in the state for everyone, and everyone will have an opportunity to move forward in their lives. Thank you very much.
So we're going to take a couple of questions, and or not. No, this is always the point where I give the evil eye to my students. Don't make me embarrassed. So go ahead, John.
I don't know quite how to handle this. I talked to a friend of mine on the phone a couple of days ago who's a long-term progressive and was a strong supporter of Jackie Silly. And she was raging, saying, see what's happened? The establishment is taking away our progressive candidate, Steve Marchand. Now, I'm not sure I buy that, but how do you handle that? You must get beat with that all the time.
Actually, I don't. I mean, I'm running my own campaign. I'm running against Chris Sununu. I told you earlier that's why I wanted to run, is because what I see he is doing and the policies that are being implemented here, and that's what I decided to do. I think that there are some differences between my primary opponent and myself. One of the differences is my experience. I think that I have been in the Senate for 10 years. I know how to work across party lines. I know how to get things done. I think experience is a good thing. You can call it what you want. For me, it's experience, and it works, and it helps. One of the things I found the hardest, and I think some of you who serve must find this as well, and you can ask my husband, is waking up in the middle of the night because you're just not sure how you're going to vote. And you spend a lot of time thinking about that. And you think about how your vote is going to affect other people and the people that you serve. And what will be maybe unintended consequences of that vote. And how are you going to get that vote across with others and to speak to it? In those moments, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to know what your values are, what your beliefs are, and you have to know why you're there. I think my 10 years prepares me to be in the governor's seat because I know I will face those same challenges. So I think it's experience. And as I said before, the endorsements I received, I am proud of those endorsements. Those are people who have worked for all of us in this state, and that they look at me and say, I want you to be in that seat, is an honor to me.
My question was similar. So you're new to me, I'm new
Yes.
to you.
Yeah.
And I hear progressive, I hear bold, I hear you decrying the national Republican standards coming into our state. And one of the question my husband wanted me most to ask was, what do you think about how Tom Perez is running the DNC, and where are you when it comes to the establishment Democratic Party and the Progressive Democratic Party?
So you're separating the two? I don't.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
There's a lot of people who are trying to.
They're trying to do that. I'm not convinced of that. I believe, and what I've seen in the Democratic Party, is that we're a party that cares about people. And that's how we make decisions. We allow each other to have different opinions and to stand on those opinions and to argue about that because it's a democracy and we believe in that. We deal with the Republican Party, they all say the same thing. They stand together about everything. We don't do that. So we make it a little bit more difficult. But in the bottom line, we stand with people. We stand with public education. We stand with women's rights. And we work real hard to do that. Leadership changes, people change, but those values don't change about the Democratic Party. So I would just say to you, we have all of those people in our party, and I'm proud of all of them. And I don't separate that out as establishment or progressive. Peter, and then did you want to say something?
I want to just both those questions. I'm one of the 16 former and present state senators who gladly endorsed Molly. And there's a reason we did that. We worked with her. We saw how she operates within the institution of the New Hampshire Senate, which I would remind everybody is only 24 people. So while the House is the biggest in this, planet, the Senate is a somewhat more compact group. And it takes a very, very sophisticated, thoughtful, listening person to flourish in that environment. And we think she not only flourished, she triumphed.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
And there was a question.
I understand that this is a federal government issue, but I just think it is such an important issue. And that is the fact that children are being taken away from their parents.
Really think about that.
And it's a universal issue. But how could you, as a governor of a state, address that issue?
Well, we can address it as you just did, that it's unacceptable, and we will stand up for the children in our state as well. We had bills when we were in the Senate. We talked about children that were brought here as children and went through 12 years of school and public education and wanted to go to one of our university colleges, would have to pay full tuition as out-of-state students. I voted against that every single time. So there are things that we can do in this state about immigration, about being accepting. And also, going back to the fact that we have right now we have 4 women in the federal delegation. And I'm gonna work with them. And we're friends. And I'm gonna be able to communicate with them. And we're gonna work together. And let me tell you just one other thing that occurs to me every day. We've been hearing about Trump and trying to I have. And impeach him or whatever we need to do. Do you know that in about a year and a half, the primary starts? We have a lot of power in this state to make a difference about what happens nationally. When I'm in the governor's seat, we are going to be able to have a strong voice about who is the next president, because that's the responsibility of the state of New Hampshire and our voices. And that is also why it's important beyond just the state, but nationally, that I am able to be in that seat. Thank you.
May I ask actually a policy question? Somebody said to me yesterday, one of the problems with this disenfranchisement of the students is it may cause New Hampshire to lose its first in the nation primary.
Why would they, you're saying if that bill passed?
If that bill became law,
Right.
the reaction in both parties, it would be very cynical in the Republican Party, but they do it anyway. Say, well, they're barring people from voting, we're not gonna hold our primary there.
Right.
The
Well,
Democrats could certainly do that.
right. Let's just say, Peter, that that bill is wrong. Okay, bottom line, and we're not gonna let it. I mean, we would repeal it. It is, we're not gonna let it happen. And we're gonna do everything we can, and we're gonna pressure the governor not to pass that bill. But I think the fact that we're even having this discussion is dangerous. That people are starting to think, what if? Because it should never be here. I met a young man in a cafe who looked like a college student to me, and he heard I was running for governor. So he was asking me about, well, what are you gonna do? And I mentioned to him about the voter suppression, because I thought, he's young, he's in college. He said, well, I just don't know. Maybe just people who pay property taxes should be able to vote. That's what's dangerous. That's what's dangerous. So we can't even give this a second thought. We all have to come together as Democrats and say, this is wrong. A week ago, we had a report that said, there is no fraud in New Hampshire. None. So we have to continue to work, and that's part of what people want to happen, is not a voice for students. And we are the first primary. We will stay as the first primary because we know what that responsibility is, and we own up to that.
Give us a picture of how your campaign's gonna unfold and what we all, as citizens, should be doing to help you.
Well, we are working hard every single day. We've been in this campaign for about 2 months. I feel like I've been working for these issues all my life, not just now. It wasn't something I decided to do. Being progressive and fighting for these issues is not new to me, but we do need all of you to help and to get out there and continue to talk about it. I'm somewhere speaking every night, sometimes twice in a day, trying to meet everyone. We are filing officially this Friday. It's the last day, and we're doing that, and I would love to have you all there. It's at 3 o'clock in the State House. That would be wonderful. And I will just be honest with you. The only way I can really get my message out is with a lot of your help. Physically being there, but also financially helping. And I didn't intend to even go there because we're in with the Hanover Dems. But I will just tell you that what does happen, that this Friday, which is the last day that anybody can file. Did you file?
Nope, Thursday, we're all doing it
You're going
together.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So it's the last day that you can, and it's also when the laws change about funding. So, just to be clear, up till Friday, an individual can give $5,000 to a candidate. After the filing, an individual can give $1,000 during the primary and $1,000 in the general, and that's what you can do. I, from day one, in this election, have been very clear that I will not, have not, taken any corporate dollars in this campaign. So, you know what we're up against. And so we need people. And we need people to be able to speak in many ways. So, you can do everything. I mean, Sarah is back here. You can talk to Sarah. She will get you involved. We do events. We're out speaking. We're on social media every day. You know, we will get out on TV, radio, all that we can do. Because we cannot afford to lose. We must win, and we can win. I would not have gotten into this election and decided to run for governor if I did not see a clear pathway to victory. And I'm moving on that path, and we are going to get there. A lot of people who are really unhappy. And I know I do go on with questions. I'm just going to say just one other thing about this question. I would just tell you is that my youngest child is 29. This child, he died. He's a child. It's 29. And I talked to my children about the campaign and what we're doing, and he told me 2 things. He said, Mom, every time I go out with my friends now, all we talk about is politics. I said, why is that? And he said, because so many people in his generation didn't vote, and they feel really guilty. And they're looking for a leader, and they're looking for a governor that will stand with them. I'm going to be that leader, to stand with them. That's what they want. He also said, remember, Mom, women will not be silent any longer. They are looking for a leader. They're looking for a governor who will stand with them and let their voices be heard. And I will be that governor for them. That's how we're going to win. We're going to bring people together, people who weren't involved before, and we're going to move forward